I would like now to invite Dr. Ross Peterson Veach to the podium to introduce the Scholars Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Jackie. My name is Ross Peterson Veach. I'm the academic dean here at Southwestern. Charles McKenzie asked me to mention to you that as we move into the Scholars Hall of Fame recognition, you should note that there's coffee in the back. If you wish, you could get up and get yourself a cup of coffee. Now, he also told me that I should say a few words about scholarship as an activity that's a fundamental part of being an educator. And I believe that he anticipated a relationship between you getting coffee and me talking about scholarship. He said I should say something about it, but he said I should try to keep my remarks brief. But you know, he's a very nice guy, so I thought I heard him say, brief for me is like an hour, so I should feel free to talk because there's coffee, and you all will be fine. That's a joke, by the way. It's a bad joke, but a joke nonetheless. But do feel free to get up and get coffee whenever you want. And I will talk a little bit about scholarship. Scholarship, I think, often as separate from the practice of teaching, and we think about that a little bit, and I think a lot of times that can be a true distinction. But the distinction really only exists given what I think is a pretty narrow view of scholarship. It's like the narrow view of scholarship of that type, I think, is like the view I have of the medical profession from watching Grey's Anatomy, or the view I have of the legal profession from watching Law and Order. It's that stereotypical view, you know, where one frame you see this person in an archive or in a lab with the test tubes, and then a few frames later you see them alone in their study putting pen to paper, and then all of a sudden they're on a book tour or they're getting the Nobel Prize, and that's scholarship, right? This is academic scholarship, we say. But I think actually that is not the type of scholarship limited to the academy. I think you can do that kind of scholarship in lots of places. You can do it at a private company. My father did that for many years. You can do it at a think tank. You can do it at a foundation. But I think academic scholarship, on the other hand, is a much more expansive activity than what you see on television. So a more expansive notion, and perhaps a more realistic one, is something I think worth laying out for you this afternoon. When I entered graduate school in 1990, I was, you know, a very advanced student. I was like 12 in 1990. It's not to date myself, right? That was another joke. It was very bad. Another really bad joke. You got to help me out here and tell me, like, stop.
Give it one more try.
One more try. Okay. Well, I had already had a career beginning, full-time college teacher at a liberal arts college for a couple of years. I knew what working in the academy would be like when I graduated with my doctorate. Most of my professors at the graduate level were very focused, I think as they should be appropriately, on advancing the discipline that I was in, which happens to be folklore. For real, that's not a joke. It's not a joke. But I had come to grad school already formed from having taught at an undergraduate institution, and I was trying to work out how to do scholarship in the context of the whole person education we give at places like Southwestern College. One of my professors noted the difficulty I was having in kind of navigating this and trying to manage that, and she said, "Hey, read this brand new book by Ernest Boyer," who was at the time the president of the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching, a little book called Scholarship Reconsidered. This was 1990, and in that piece, which arguably became the most influential book on the practice of American higher education, Boyer said this. He expanded essentially on a statement he made in a speech to the Association of American Colleges 2 years earlier in 1988. This is a gathering of many, many different colleges across the country. His speech was titled "A College of Quality," and in it he reframed and developed this idea of a more expansive notion of scholarship. I think one of our inductees knows that well. Tara and I were already talking about it at the table. But that expansive view has guided my view on scholarship ever since. He called on his listeners to think about it like this, to wipe away that stereotypical version of scholarship as this thing he called discovery, and said there are other types of scholarship that are equally important to the life of a professor and to the life of the American Academy. He said this: "I'm suggesting that there is an enormous ambivalence within American higher education about the division between teaching and research. Somehow, we need to look beyond the research versus teaching cliche and ask the more provocative question, what does it mean to be a scholar?" We should recognize, of course, he went on, that scholarship means the discovery of new knowledge through research. But we should also recognize that scholarship means integrating knowledge through curriculum development. Let us also recognize the scholarship of applying knowledge, of finding ways to relate information to contemporary problems. And above all, let us recognize the scholarship of presenting that knowledge through advising and counseling and teaching our students. Since Boyer's Scholarship Reconsidered, in the Academy, we've developed what we call the Boyer model. So Tara actually comes from a Boyer school, as she told me. She may have something to say about that. I'm not sure. She was a little critical of her Boyer school, but that's okay. That's okay. That's what we do. But this Boyer model, as a definition of our scholarly work, has 4 parts. And to use their modern names, their 2018 names, they're the scholarship of discovery, the scholarship of integration, the scholarship of application, and the scholarship of teaching and learning. At this point, there is a 14-year-old society called the International Society of the Scholarship of Teaching and Learning that has meetings all over the world. And this is a big thing that came directly out of Ernest Boyer's book in 1990. A lot of scholarship happening actually on college teaching, people publishing lots of things on college teaching. Boyer not only influenced a generation of graduate students like me and shaped the national conversation about scholarship, he in fact exerted a direct influence over us here at Southwestern College. We have here what we call the policy manual. Those of us who work here will smile to think about the policy manual, a rather large, mammoth document that lays out the policies we use to guide our work here. Volume 4 is the part of that manual dedicated to setting the context for faculty work here at Southwestern College. And the last policy in Volume 4 is a list and an explanation and an explication of those 4 types of scholarship named by Ernie Boyer in 1990. So here, we adopt this idea that scholarship is expansive, that that's the right view, and that's the important view. That the work we do here in curriculum development for integration, in leadership, and education for applying these principles to common problems, and especially for teaching and learning, are the most important kind of scholarship we can do. And in that spirit, I think as we prepare to induct the Hall of Famers we have here today, I want you to think about how they have contributed as scholars to the larger national conversation about educating the whole student and how their scholarship has made a difference in the lives of so many people so far. So, as we move into the hall recognition, I'll just talk a little bit about the hall itself. The Scholars Hall of Fame was established in 2004 in order to honor alumni who have had distinguished careers in higher education and other venues of scholarship. This college is known for producing outstanding alumni worthy of recognition, and it's the intent of Southwestern to honor those who excel in careers in this realm. We don't give an award every year because we don't always have people who fit the criteria. Entry into this prestigious hall is based on the individual's achievements, professionalism, character, and a significant achievement is one in which the exceptional skills and abilities of the candidate are exemplified. All inductees must be attendees of Southwestern College, have outstanding records as scholars or as leaders in advanced education beyond K-12, and they must have a terminal degree, as well as a significant record of scholarly publication in order to be selected. This year, we're pleased to present to you 2 exemplary builders. Dr. Tilgham Aley, graduating in 1948, is credited with helping create the Kansas system of community colleges as a strong branch of higher education. After earning graduate degrees from Oklahoma State University and the University of Kansas, he began his efforts to move Kansas community colleges out of high schools and into a separate role in higher education. He was in several leadership positions in Kansas community colleges, as well as promoting state financial assistance for those schools. When he died in 1983, Dr. Aley was president of Casper College in Casper, Wyoming, a position he had held since 1961. He had held a similar position at Mesa, Colorado Community College. Colleagues credit Tim for being not only the architect of the Wyoming Community College system, but also a driving force in the evolution of higher education in a variety of states. Here to accept this posthumous award on his behalf is one of Dr. Aley's daughters, Jennifer Aley Kenny.
All right, I don't give speeches like he used to give speeches, but I would like to thank the college, obviously, and especially Mr. Vasey for, I guess, driving the train for doing this today, so thank you. I was trying to think of one thing that he always used to say in the speeches that he used to give, and he always used to say that everyone needs to know human anatomy, that everyone needs to know that they were given a certain complement of faculties with something on one end to think with, something on the other end to sit on, and how well you succeed in life, and I'm paraphrasing, so I'm not delivering it very well, but how well you succeed in life depends on how you choose, but it's always heads you win and tails you lose. So on that, I will say thank you very much.
I'm stealing that one for sure. That's actually a good joke, yeah. Dr. Tara J. Gray, who graduated in 1981, is the first director of the Teaching Academy at New Mexico State University. The Teaching Academy seeks to improve student learning by providing NMSU educators with professional development in teaching, in leadership, and also in mentoring. Tara earned her PhD in economics at Oklahoma State and taught economics at Denison University before joining the Department of Criminal Justice at NMSU, where she's now Associate Professor of Criminal Justice. She has published dozens of academic articles and 3 books, including Publish and Flourish, Become a Prolific Scholar. She has been honored at New Mexico State and nationally for teaching or service, and has presented faculty development workshops to 10,000 participants at more than 120 venues in 35 states and several international sites. Please welcome Dr. Tara Gray.
Thank you. It's humbling to be inducted into the Scholars Hall of Fame, and I want to thank Southwestern College for the honor. I want to thank Dr. David Nichols, who helped me study economics, although his field was history. He's just been recognized by the Washington Post for his amazing book. He helped me study economics individually, outside of his own discipline, for an entire year. And that's a rare professor who would take that kind of time to do that. He led me to Oklahoma State, where I studied under another builder, Richard Leftwich, who many of you know, 41, and I studied there under Richard Leftwich. I want to thank Coach Jim Reed and his wife Sylvia Reed, 55 and 56 builders. I should say 56 and 55 because he likes to say he married an older woman. Coach Reed was the 1979 National Tennis Coach of the Year. You were a role model and mentor to me from 8th grade and beyond, and you taught me so much more than tennis and teamwork. To me, you will always be the Coach of the Year every year. Finally, I thank my immediate family, Ina Wallace and Tony Gray, for their tireless efforts on behalf of me as a scholar, starting at a young age, I would say especially 8th grade. My father emphasized justice, working to make the world a better, fairer place. My mother emphasized excellence, striving to achieve the utmost level of my personal best. These aims gave me the drive to find something worth saying and to say it with zest. My parents and my sister, I said starting in 8th grade, and I'm not kidding. My parents and my sister read endless drafts of the first things that I wrote. Dad wanted an important purpose, a reason for reading, a dramatic beginning, a big finish. Mother wanted accuracy and evidence, reasons given and justified, no overstatement. My sister wanted me to know the standards of whatever teacher I was writing for at the time so that I could earn an A. Together, we were a veritable writing machine, a metaphor for how we lived, worked, and played. The way I like to tell it, Mother read as a girl the book Around the World in 80 Days. And given her inimitable style of saving, she started saving for her future family right then to go around the world in 80 days. And go around the world we did in 1972. Traveling with you on trips and in life has been a wild and wonderful ride to the top. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We are very pleased you've joined us for the induction of all of these worthy individuals into the Educators Hall of Fame and the Scholars Hall of Fame. We're proud to call each of them builders. If you aren't already aware, which I'm sure you are, tonight our fine arts students are presenting the musical Guys and Dolls at 7:30 in the Richardson Performing Arts Center. Tickets have not sold out, correct? That's right. And they are available at the door, so I'm sure you we'll see you there. I'm sure. So thank you again for joining us today, and congratulations to all the inductees. Don't forget to get a little coffee on the way out, and thanks again for coming.